Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
All right. Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Eric Hardwick with me here today. Eric is an electrical engineer who runs his own electrical consulting and advisory company. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you, Tim. How are you doing today?
Things are good. Things are good. We're post
Excellent.
for our viewers. This is November 6th. We're recording this, and the election results just came in. So we were discussing that. I didn't wear this shirt on purpose, by the way. It was just a
No blue
color.
wall here.
Yeah, the blue wall. Yeah.
No blue wall here. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Eric, thank you. So can you give us a quick snapshot of your business right now, what you do, what your company does?
Yeah. So Hardwick Engineering, we specialize in electrical engineering. So we do consulting and design for pretty much any electrical system. We have expanded out into providing civil engineering and mechanical plumbing as well. And we actually will provide all A&E services through sub-consulting or architectural, structural, and any other disciplines needed. So we often will be the prime engineering firm on a particular project that we bring in. So, but we do sub out to a lot of other large engineering firms as well. So, but our main forte is electrical, and been doing this since 2007, just before the 2008 crash, which was a very tough year to be starting a business. So, yeah.
Sure. So what can you tell us a little bit about the scope of projects that you take on, the variety and
Yeah, so
yeah,
my background is very diverse. So my claim to fame is I'm very well rounded in the electrical industry. So electrical is huge in the sense that there's many specific areas. So you got communications, you got power systems, you got control systems, you have networking systems. So we pretty much cover everything. So we're kind of a one-stop shop for any electrical. The scale and size of projects, we do everything from very small residential projects where permitting is required from the municipality. So oftentimes we'll do like a service upgrade from 200 amp service on a typical home to a 400 amp service. So the city or municipality will require permit drawings. So we'll develop the drawings and help get them permitted. Everything from that to all the way. We recently did the Santan Mountain, Gila River, Santan Mountain Indian Casino wastewater treatment plant. That's a pretty big project, probably in the 20 million neighborhood. So we did all the electrical and instrumentation control system design. Some of that is still ongoing. It's actually being constructed. It's in construction phase, and we're still involved in that project. But it's a pretty good sized project. But we've done all projects, all various sizes, and then in addition, I've been on. In my past history, I've worked on many multi-mega billion-dollar projects. My background is some of that is with through Department of Energy projects on nuclear remediation. So I've worked at the Hanford facility up in Washington State, which is the largest DOE complex, and it's where they built the nuclear bombs, and they got all the leftover nuclear materials and stuff that's been left in the ground, and trying to clean it all up. So it's the biggest Superfund cleanup site that DOE has, or the government has. I've worked on many of those nuclear facility sites, and so those are big projects.
Sure. Sure. What's your, since you brought up nuclear, what's your opinion on a lot of the new the smaller nuclear plants they're trying to put together in places now?
I think that's a great deal. So part of what's happening in this country and around the world is, the need for power, and you can only get so much of it. That's from the existing. So we need new power. I think diversity is good in power. There is no perfect solution for anything. So, diversity is always key and be able to make sure that you have the what you need. So nuclear is a good solution, solar is a good solution, wind. Um, None of those are perfect. So there's always setbacks. And for people that want green, again, there's nothing perfect out there. So
Right. Well, yeah, wind only works in some areas. Solar works best in some areas. Nuclear works most places.
yeah. Well, the thing on the green side is that all those stuff that requires, you know, to make the solar and required to make
Right. There's a
wind,
carbon footprint.
you've got the it's always the leftovers. What do you do with all the windmill blades, and what do you do with all the solar panels, and because all those are. But it's as time goes on, as we progress in technology, hopefully those things can get cleaned up relatively easy. But nuclear has been a legacy problem because we have no effective means to clean up nuclear waste, and so that's what Hanford was doing with their vitrification facility, is to take nuclear waste, mix it in with the glass mixture, and put it into a glass composite, and then store it, and then let it degrade over millions of years. So France is the leader in that vitrification process. We still have yet to get it right here in the United States, and we've
Hmm.
spent probably more than $100 billion trying to do all that. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, okay. So back to electrical engineering and what you do. There's a lot of competition in that space. I believe you said you don't really market. You have mostly referrals and stuff at this point in your career. What sort of sets you apart? And what comes easy to you that others find challenging?
What sets me apart is again my diverse background experience, and I'm very well code intense. So I'm pretty knowledgeable in the National Electric Code and how to apply it, how to get things done safely with maybe a few tweaks in uh, somebody's system. So there's a lot of things that the norm that people do just because they only a lot of times only focused in this way. And so I like to think I have a very well-rounded ideas of outside the box. So I think
Okay.
about, how can we make this happen? We got challenges, and what we got code issues. How can we make it happen? And so this occurs a lot. You have existing places that are like out of compliance because somebody built it, and it's not up to code, and then you get a lot of people doing their own thing, and so we run into it a lot. Trying to figure out how to make it work and safely is always a challenge. um, One of the things is through my experience, over the last 30 plus years, I can pretty much vision what the solutions are going to be right away. So I'm able to, like, boom, I already know. I've never seen this before, but I already have a good idea how to get around it. So,
Right.
there's a lot of that. Um, so that's what I won't say it sets me apart, but what people really like is my customer service, because I'm very people oriented, very client oriented. I do tell the clients the way it is, but in a nice fashion. So, so I'm sorry,
Okay.
bro, but you can't do it this way. This is how we can get out of it. So, it's just
Okay.
very, I'm very business oriented. I don't try to like, a lot of people go out there and they'll nickel and dime somebody. I'm not that way. I give a decent fee for what I see because a lot of times I see things that I'm going to have to do. And if it takes me longer than what it should, then I do it, regardless of what I charge my
Right.
clients. So but
Okay.
I had a project the other day where, someone's like, oh, somebody's building this RV park, RV storage in the backyard. And like, well, do they have architect? Do they have structural? Do they have this? Do they have that on board? And like, oh, no, no, they don't. But you know, well, we can take care of it all for you. It's like, okay, no, no, we just want the electrical. So I gave him a number, and it wasn't even much. It was like 20 hours to do the drawings. And they're like, oh, I thought that was a bit high. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Right.
And I'm like, so they apparently they found someone to do it for like 10 hours of my time. So I'm like, I just couldn't do it. By the time I go out and
Right.
even do a job site look, I've already spent 2, 3 hours. I mean, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. So I was like, I told him why I can't. I see problems already. You don't have an architect. You don't have structural. You don't have this. You don't have that. So it's like, okay, so I don't worry about this. I don't sweat the small stuff typically. So
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Well, you solve enough puzzles, you get good at identifying what's coming, and you see the problems coming, and so forth. You're good at that. Is that also maybe one of your sort of specialties? Is people come to you with problem projects that are
Oh
particularly
yeah, we,
complicated?
we we get a lot of referrals from, well, so and so they can't do it, or it's out of
Okay.
their expertise, or so I one of my claim to fames, I guess, is that we do a lot of specialty projects. So a lot of projects where you got hazardous locations, emergency issues, anything that's like super safety related. And so,
Okay.
with the nuclear background experience, I've done what's called a lot of hazard analysis, and so, we get that mindset of safety first, and so we're always looking at things, and then boom, you see safety concerns right away, and you can spot them as you get experience looking for it. So and then trying to find the solutions to those. And so we've ran it across many projects where the city has rejected things, and now the engineer of record can't figure out, or just doesn't have the expertise to make it happen. And so we get brought in, and that's
Okay.
where a lot of the referrals come in. So yeah.
Okay. What are sort of the different designations? I don't know. Like for an electrical engineer, as you said, it's a very broad field.
Yeah, so there's a thing called designer, and designer can be basically anybody that's doing work. So I can take a guy off the street, tell him to start, make a little drawing or sketch or anything or do anything, and now he is, quote unquote, can be called a designer, electrical designer. So
So the bar's pretty low.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So what then becomes the next level is the engineer. So in Arizona, you have to pass an exam. So the exam is, then once you pass the exam, then you can become an engineer. And then so so anybody that has engineer in their title, they're supposed to have passed the exam. So that's PE.
Okay.
So then you get into experience, and then not everybody has the same level of experience. So,
Sure.
and that's kind of like the same for anybody. I mean, a financial guy, or architect, or mechanic. They all have their different areas of expertise, and so you kind of have to just ask the right questions. And a lot of times people don't know the right questions, and so because they just don't know. And so um, fortunately, the my clients, they know me, and I don't have a big pool. I've got a solid pool of clients, and so, but they're always, introducing me to other prospective clients, and I'm always helping them out on projects. So uh, there's many different aspects. So you got like communications, which is like part of what we do for SCADA system, which is supervised control and data acquisition, which is like what you would see in any kind of large control station for like a wastewater treatment plant or a power plant or anything that's monitoring or controlling a process. So you're going to
Okay.
see a control room, and the SCADA system is allowing people to be able to get access effectively and see everything happening in the plant. Um, then you have power systems, which power can power in itself is diverse. So you have generation. So you got power from nuclear power plants or hydro plants or whatever. So you got generation, which is on its own. Then you got the lines going across, which is transmission. And then so the power plants are distributing out to the utility companies
Right.
or whoever. And then the utility companies have what then is called distribution out to local substations. And then you have so substations are the ones where you see in the corners of roads, and you see these big pieces of equipment and the cables are coming in, and you got these insulators that are coming up and the wires. So that's a substation. So, all those are kind of like specialty items in design. Because and then from there you got power distribution to the owners of buildings and properties, and that is power, so all that is power, but there are different levels of power. So
Right.
um, we dabble mostly in the power for usage of property owners.
Right.
We do some of the higher power levels, but there's a lot of specialty competition in those areas.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when we get brought in, it's usually because an existing client has those needs, and then they come to us versus finding the specialty people. So because usually it's a part of a bigger project. So and
Right.
and that's where we kind of fit in well, is that on bigger projects we encompass everything. Whereas, you have a very specific project, there's people designated specifically for those little piece of the pie, so we're more
Okay.
of a generalist. We cover
Right.
everything.
Okay. Okay. You brought up a couple questions. These are just sort of little
Sure.
ancillary, anecdotal side questions for you, if you're up for it.
Sure, sure.
Sure. So, why do power lines hum and crack when you're walking near them? You can hear it.
The power lines,
Yeah, you can
or
hear them
yeah.
crackling and the
Well,
buzzing.
the crackling is not good. The power lines can hum, so so power is cycling at 60 cycles per second.
Hmm.
So it actually goes up and down, so it's called a sine wave, right?
Hmm.
And so it's flipping back and forth, and it's got a frequency to it.
Right.
And that frequency you can hear humming. Usually you're probably listening to the humming more from where the cables are coming into the substation area, where you have transformers. So take the high voltage to low voltage. So what happens there, you'll hear humming from the transformers a lot of times because it's vibrating. The cycling is vibrating the internal components inside the transformer. So
Okay.
you'll hear that there
Okay.
you'll hear the
The physical
humming.
vibration.
Yep. So it's sound, and then
Okay.
if you're hearing crackling, that means there's a problem somewhere probably. So
Hmm.
in the extra high voltages, there's what's called a corona, where the air around the cables get charged, and it's
Okay.
creating a corona effect around. I mean, it's creating an ionic uh, field around it.
Okay.
And if there's stuff that's in and around that area, then anything can happen. So it just depends on how much charge there is and
Okay.
stuff like that. So
Could
it gets
be
to be a little complicated. Yeah.
okay. Could
There's
be even
there's
just as simple as like being a big bug zapper, right? If
it could, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. If it was in the right way, yeah. I mean,
Okay. So
birds get zapped on the lines too sometimes. So
yeah.
just
Okay.
birds, trees get zapped. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff happening on those power lines, even though
Sure,
they're
sure. They're
just hanging in the
dangerous.
air. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondary question is aluminum. I know, so in real estate, multifamily, sometimes we still run across this in some older properties where they use aluminum wiring. And to my understanding, aluminum can be a great conductor and is good. It's just where it connects with outlets in some spots. The using different metals can be a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
So,
so aluminum is not as efficient as copper. So, but the cost factor between aluminum and copper is about a third, probably.
okay.
So when you can go aluminum, it's cost effective.
Sure, sure.
Um,
I've heard that like in those power stations or relay stations and substations, they often use aluminum there. Is it like a bigger gauge and some,
yeah,
can you
so it
explain
can
why
be
that is?
typically it's one size larger gauge to
Okay.
have the equivalent. Um, Aluminum, there's a lot of factors in aluminum for corrosion, things like that,
Hmm.
degradation issues. So in general, we don't normally use aluminum as
Okay.
part of our standard building systems. But you will find aluminum on aerial lines going across the transmission lines and distribution. Mostly distribution lines, you'll find some aluminum.
Hmm. Okay.
So so it just depends on I mean, there's a number of factors there using aluminum, but the reason people don't use aluminum is usually for degradation issues.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
it's not quite as durable as
Easily.
the copper. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, that reminds me. I mean, I believe you're planning a show, right? Talk Electrical, which would be a
Correct.
kind of this a platform
Yeah.
for just talking about such
It would
questions
be
all the time.
exactly this of the live stream. It'd be like we'd have viewers and we would actually have so the talk show is me talking. I'm the host, and then we would have uh, all of the people that would subscribe to talk or to listen in, and they would also have opportunities to actually pitch their questions, and hopefully, it's also a learning experience listening to other people's problems and hearing solutions that we would provide. As well as I would have other electrical experts on periodically, and we would have certain topics to discuss. So it's kind of like a lessons learning deal, but also also a chance and opportunities for we'll have an open forum to bring in people's questions and then have a quick response, hopefully. So it's kind of like, you get a bunch of electricians or a bunch of engineers in there, everybody's talking and it's like, you bring
Right.
up questions and it's like, everybody's got their spiel. So it's kind
Sure.
of that forum and opportunity, and it won't be a lot to actually see a show. So our expected cost is going to be like maybe $5 or $10 per show, just something low. And
Okay.
then,
So sounds like a mastermind, really,
Y-
electrical engineering
Yeah,
mastermind.
yeah, and the reason for part of the costing is I don't want to inundate viewers that aren't contributing, meaning and so there's lots of reasons for it, and one of the things that I was told from talking to other people that do like podcasting was that if you're gonna try to make money monetizing, don't do it for free because you'll never be able to convert them to free from free to you'll just won't be
Huh.
able to do it. Like, well, okay, why don't we just start off as doing it? Because we're providing a service, not only just the talk. There's a lot of information,
Sure.
a lot of lessons
Expertise.
learned. Exactly. So we're trying to monetize that in a small form of monetizing, and then so it's just kind of like a little feeler sample for $5 or $10, and then from there, the concept is that when they do have a bigger project or have a real project, they're going to come and hopefully we get a little more business that way through our website. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Can you talk a little bit as we wrap up here, a little bit about the Phoenix market and how it's been pre, post COVID and
yeah. So
currently? Because
pre COVID, it was good. And, business is pretty steady for me. And, I haven't grown a lot. I haven't, you know, our, our, our revenue generation is about the same year after year for the most part, plus or minus, some 25, 50%, whatever. But, I'm not in a huge, like, $1 million issue or anything. We're a small outfit. And then COVID, I was like, oh, what's going to happen with COVID? Well, fortunately, during COVID, we had a lot of projects because during the emergency time, only emergency quote unquote
Right.
personnel were allowed to go do stuff, and lo and behold, what was considered important electrical. So a lot of electrical contractors are still out running around doing stuff. And so I was supporting my contractors. And so we
Okay.
actually were staying pretty busy through COVID. And then post COVID, it's just been pretty steady. There's a few lulls here and there, and you can kind of see it in the economy when things are kind of like, you know, the economy slowing down, everybody slows down. But fortunately, the housing industry has been somewhat steady. So housing industry being steady, uh, i.e., that means the business industry is pretty steady. So as long as everybody's steady, we're pretty good.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
what you
job
will,
growth, home growth. There's still people moving here. That's for sure.
yeah, that's feeding the business, and what you will find is I've had a lot of people tell me that they just can't get excuse me, can't seem to. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear my phone, but it's raised. So I was like,
Oh, no, wait. Yeah, we're good.
uh, so as far as growth goes and busyness wise, we get a lot of calls from people that are looking for faster service. Um, so one of the things that we are also well known for is providing really fast service. So,
Okay.
I've worked 40, 24, 48 hours straight on people's projects where they come into last minute and say, we really got to get this going. And it's like,
Right.
well, if you really want to pay for it, I'll be willing to work hard for it. It's like,
Sure.
I've done 24, 48 hours or straight try and wrap up people's, you know, issues. And so,
Okay.
and then, because I'm a small business, I'm primarily myself. I work night hours, day hours, morning hours. And so that's the advantage. A lot of my clients know that, if they really need something, they can come to me, and
Okay. That's great. That's really big
hopefully,
sometimes.
yeah, it is. And that's how you win, you show that you're committed to someone's project. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. That's great. So, Eric, if people would like to connect with you or learn more about Hardwick Engineering, what should they do?
Well, they can go to LinkedIn, take a little bit more looked at my LinkedIn profile. They can call me directly, 602-290-4196. That's my cell phone. And then if they can't get a hold of me, they can leave me a number on my voicemail message, which I get via my email. It's 602-774-1732. And again, that's strictly voicemail, but it comes into my email, and I get it right away. So,
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Eric Hardwick, for joining me today. We appreciate you sharing your story and your insights into electrical engineering and success and impact in Phoenix.
thank you very much, Tim.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.